continuing on with our coverage conversation about the fallout of the trade between the Mavericks and the Lakers, in which Luca Dončić, a superstar in the NBA, was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for damn near pennies on the dollar. Well, not really pennies on the dollar. Anthony Davis is a great player, but the valuation on this trade, the math doesn't add up here.
It didn't add up.
It just doesn't add up. But there's fallout because the fans in Dallas aren't happy. Mavericks fans are irate. They're upset. They feel betrayed. They feel like they were led astray, bamboozled, let down. And as a result, apparently the general manager for the Mavericks, Nico Harrison, is receiving death threats because of how upset people are with the fact that the Mavericks traded Luka away. So this says Dallas Mavericks GM Nico Harrison is reportedly getting death threats after a shocking decision to trade Luka. Dallas Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison has reportedly been receiving death threats ahead of the NBA's first home game since trading star point guard Luca Dončić. This is a heartbroken franchise, and there have been some very unfortunate developments regarding that anger. ESPN reporter Tim McMahon said while appearing on the network on Friday, February 7th. Nico Harrison has been subjected to death threats. There have been racial epithets included in some of those. He continued before adding, there will be protests outside the arena that is planned. Security will certainly be beefed up. Nico Harrison is not going to be in his normal seat in the stands. There's no reason to subject him to that kind of security risk. People reached out to the Dallas Mavericks PR team for further details on Saturday, February 8th, but did not immediately receive a response. On Saturday, February 8th, protesters gathered outside the American Airlines Center in Dallas, where the Mavericks were facing off against the Houston Rockets to voice their disapproval over the controversial decision to trade Dončić 25. The shocking trade was first announced on February 1st with news that Dončić would be traded to the Los Angeles Lakers in a three-man package, which included sending center Anthony Davis to Dallas. I believe that defense wins championships, Harrison told ESPN on February 1st while discussing the decision. He added, I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're built to win now and in the future. Many Dallas fans were quick to voice their disapproval of the trade, with one ex-user writing, Nico just made one of the worst trades of all time. You do not trade a perennial MVP candidate in their mid-20s under any circumstances. It's nonsensical, and there's absolutely no justification for what happened. They just went to the finals. However, others don't believe it's fair for Harrison to shoulder the entirety of the outrage for the decision. While speaking on the Hoop Collective podcast on February 7th, McMahon said he does not believe Harrison was the sole decision maker behind the trade. Fans are so mad at the Mavericks and, frankly, at Nico specifically. I don't believe Nico acted alone. I do not believe that, but he's the one who's taking the heat, he added. So here's a short video of those fans gathered outside the arena to protest the trade. All right, so if you couldn't make out what they were saying was, he's not fat, bring him back.
Hysterical.
Which is a reference to speculation that part of the reason why they were comfortable trading him was because of his lack of commitment to being well-conditioned. So what do you think about the Mavericks GM allegedly receiving death threats because of this decision?
Yeah, I kind of believe it, man. I believe he was actually getting that work. I don't know if it was via social medias, or I think they said that his allegedly his address got leaked online. So, they had to start, having security around his house. Hey, look, man. Much like how a comment in that article said, bro, you don't trade somebody, like Luka at age 25, pretty much under any circumstance. There isn't really any substantial reason to do so. And you just look like an idiot. And I also agree that I don't believe that Nico's the only person involved in this deal. A heist like this, I don't think a one-man operation can get away with that. There's a lot of people that would have to sign off on this. But Nico's the guy falling on the sword. And he seemed to be okay with it, I guess, initially. Trying to say, hey, Jason Kidd had nothing to do with this, blah, 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 had nothing to do with this. This was me and Rob Pelinka over a cup of coffee. That's what he said, a cup of coffee. And then it all started with saying, hey, would you ever, would it be possible? Like, it's like, bro, trading Luka started as a what if, you know what I'm saying? Would you ever? Like, to me, the whole thing seemed bogus. So I think that this whole thing, like I mentioned in our last video about this, I felt like this was a big thing that happened. I felt like this was collusion. I felt like things were going on. I felt like there's a conspiracy. And by definition of conspiracy, there's just other people plotting to make a movie.
Yeah. Conspiring to make it happen.
Correct.
Yeah.
So to me, it was conspiratorial in that regard. Right. I think that just having Nico and Rob Pelinka being the only players in it is part of the conspiracy. So, but since nobody's going to get after Rob Pelinka, so everybody's going to get at Nico because everybody in Dallas love Luka. Everybody in Texas love Luka. So it didn't make any sense. And just watching the game last night, bro, I saw what Rob Pelinka was talking about, man. Luka brings basketball joy. I was watching those highlights and I was like, hey, man, I'm smiling. I'm smiling watching this because
I didn't like what I saw.
Hey, bro,
I didn't like what I saw because it looked good. That's why
they was around there playing basketball. I was like, hey, they playing basketball out there, and I said that's the Luka effect, man. This is the joy Rob Pelinka was talking about. So, hey, man, I stand corrected, man. She does bring basketball joy. So, I know that I know the first half of the Anthony Davis game, the Dallas fans were, you know what I'm saying, beside themselves in a good way. Like, okay, yeah, we lost Luka, but we could take this. But then AD does what AD does. It just falls on the ground for God knows what. In my abdomen. Stop the caps with that, man.
Abductor.
Abductor. Stop the cappery with that, man. He didn't even strain there. Oh, well, if he re-injured an old injury, he didn't have to strain much. I'm like, nah, man. He was about to hit his over and his points in the first half. Just fell down. I couldn't go for it, man. So it's typical Anthony Davis, pinky finger messed up, finger in the eye, he can't play, what I'm saying? Soft tissue injuries. So, a lot of people were saying that Dallas got the full Anthony Davis experience in their first game.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so yes, that's what comes with Anthony Davis. So whatever. And I'm pretty sure that got the Nico haters even more beside themselves, especially after watching what Luka did last night. Even though he wasn't being all the way Luka, just his impact on the floor, it made LeBron play better.
Bro, guys were open all over the place. I watched the game.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. I didn't like what I was seeing because guys were just open everywhere.
It worked better than I thought it would.
I know it was very concerning. It was.
Hey, man.
As a Laker hater and somebody who does not want to see LeBron win, it was very concerning to watch.
I'll tell you this.
It was Luka at a quarter of his speed. Luka's already slow as it is,
right?
But he was still, despite his slowness, operating at like a quarter of the speed. and guys were just open all over the place. The floor was just completely spread. Now, granted, they played Utah. Utah's not
Right.
good,
Right.
but still, I mean, they were up by like 30 at one point.
Yeah. It looked. And that's what I'm saying. So if I was really a Dallas fan, you know, last night would have just re-pissed me off. So yeah, Nico's gonna have to lay low, man. He's gonna be out of a job soon. The streets are gonna make them replace him. Um, I don't see him hanging around there very long. It's too hot. And so yeah, wild situation. You don't want to see nobody catch death threats, especially over just doing a job. But yeah, the way the world's working now, man, how fanatical people can be, I'm not too shocked that he was actually catching some. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts, man, on Nico Harrison out here allegedly catching death threats? And yeah, what are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I think fans are taking it too far with the death threats.
I agree.
That's too much. But I get it. The minute Anthony Davis went down, I would have been
I'm pissed.
all I would have been beside myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy couldn't even make it through one game, and he Anthony Davis himself. To me, Anthony Davis has become. I can use Anthony Davis now as a verb. I mean,
Yes.
as an adjective to
Yeah.
describe getting hurt all the time types. Like what happened? One minute he's playing defense and he's trying to shift his feet. The next minute he's out for at least a month. So, like, he Anthony Davis. That's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute that he Anthony Davis, if I'm a Mavericks fan, I am irate.
Yeah.
So I understand I understand the frustration.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. Because just off of that alone, it's on paper, the Lakers already got the better end of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you factor in that element, Anthony Davis's injury, because for me, you don't erase an injury history just because you've been relatively healthy for 2 seasons.
Right.
I still remember all of those years before that when you was always getting hurt.
Right.
2 years of relative health for me does not erase how you were literally always hurt before that.
Agreed.
So, he was basically able to, I guess the Mavericks were able to equate value or add a relative amount of valuation to the Anthony Davis portion of the deal because of the fact that for the last 2 years he's been able to stay upright. But don't forget about all of them other years where he was hurt all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was damn near Joel Embiid level in terms of never being available because he's always hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the speculative reasons why LeBron was frustrated with him, because all I heard in the media was, why hasn't LeBron passed the torch yet? Isn't it supposed to be Anthony Davis's team? Well, number one, Anthony Davis isn't built like that from a character standpoint. But number two, you can't hand the baton to somebody who's not a reliable player. And one thing that you can't take away from LeBron is he's a reliable player. So 40-year-old LeBron is more reliable than 32-year-old Anthony Davis, who's supposed to be a top 10 talent. So I'm watching this guy get hurt the very first game that he plays for us. I'm pissed as well.
I'm pissed.
So I don't blame him. I don't blame him. On paper, you already got the short end of the stick, but now it is actually playing out. The concerns, because this guy's already done for a month. The Mavericks, like for real, bro, like the Mavericks might altogether miss the playoffs.
Yeah, honestly.
No. It's completely on the board because I believe right now they're like the 9 or 10 seed.
Yeah.
So
and Gafford got hurt. PJ Washington got hurt. So they're like, I think Lively's hurt too. I think all their centers are out.
They are. And even the backup, well, he's more of the third stringer. I forget his name, but he's been out for like several weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So Josh Powell is what I'm talking
about. Oh yeah, he's still
been out. So he's out. Gafford just got hurt, and then Lively been out, and now of course the guy who gets hurt of all guys who gets hurt along with Embiid. This dude, Anthony Davis, is out for a month. It's ridiculous. So the Mavericks are currently the 8th seed. Missing him for a month, your roster is a shell of itself because he's supposed to be the foundation on offense and defense. It's supposed to be him Because before he got hurt, he was like having a 30-20 game, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So you lose that kind of productivity, bro. It sucks. So I feel for Mavericks fans. I really do. Now, having said that, I think the death threats are taking it a bit too far.
Yeah.
But, honestly, bro, death threats when it comes to professional sports, to me, well, not even sports, fanaticism in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because not just with sports, but with anything where you can observe any sort of fanaticism. I really do believe that fanaticism is a byproduct of our times in terms of modern economics. I think you got these people who, like, not to get too deep into it, but you got so many people who are busting their ass, who are working class, they're scraping to get by. People can barely afford rents and mortgages. Salaries and wages aren't being raised in a manner that's commensurate with the cost of living. Inflation may be getting under control with the new administration, but that doesn't lower prices,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that people don't. I think people misunderstand how inflation works. They think that if inflation goes down, prices go down. They don't. Prices stay fixed even if the inflation drops. So, people are still paying high prices for stuff. People are still working hard, working to get by 2, 3 jobs. Everybody needs a side hustle. Like it's rough out there. The majority of the population, 70 to 75%, is working class. And when you're dealing with that as your reality, all you got at the end of the day is your sports, if you're into sports.
Mm-hmm.
All you got is your entertainment if you're into the entertainment. So when you have forces that come along and bastardize your sports and bastardize your entertainment, when that's all that you have, because the rest of your life is kind of bleak because you're living paycheck to paycheck, scraping to get by, it can explain how things can get increased in terms of the fanaticism, the fanaticism.
Mm-hmm.
How it can amplify. So I understand why we're seeing a lot of this stuff, because stuff out there is hard, man. And per capita, I don't know the cost of living in Dallas, but I would imagine it ain't cheap.
No, it's not.
And so you're dealing with the day to day of being in that place. And the one thing that you had to look forward to in terms of joy in your life, the Mavericks with Luca, has now been taken away from you, and you didn't even see it coming.
Nope.
So I can understand people's anger and the outrage. I get it, man. I get it. It sucks. So unfortunately, the wealth gap, the current state of American economics is not going to change. It's only going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. So that part of it is not going to change. So all they had to take solace in was maybe Anthony Davis can give us something, and now he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to justify it, rationalize it, or explain it. I'm just saying I get it. I understand. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not justifying death threats because that is fanatical. It is taking it too far. But I do understand where the fanaticism is coming from.
Yeah, man, I hear it, and I didn't even think of that point, but yeah, I think that has heightened the things a little bit more because there's been certain times where I was like, hey, man, just give me my football, you know, all this crazy stuff, just give me my football. But
Yeah.
then I'm trying to watch the game, and then they keep throwing flags in favor of the Chiefs. I get pissed off. There were games that I would watch, bro, and I would get so irritated because of all of these favorable calls. And by the way, shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for bestowing justice and making things right in the world, at least for 24 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, I couldn't stand another Chiefs situation, but that's how you beat the Chiefs. You dominate them. You beat them so badly the refs can't save them. And that's exactly what happened. And kudos to the Eagles for doing such. But I mean, there'll be games that I try to watch and enjoy, and I'm seeing things happen, and it's pissing me off. Not death threats piss off, but people are on the fringe out here. So I'm not surprised that somebody would take it there. Ain't nothing but a burn their account away to send something crazy to this guy. So yeah, man. So it is what it is with those things, man. All valid points. I didn't think about how just the world is and people just want their thing. And last thing I'll say is, as a Heat fan, yeah, we had good guys on our team and stuff like that. We had ballers, all stars and stuff like that. But when we got Wade, it was something special about that. It was like, hey, we drafted somebody that's good.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's hitting game winners. He's leading us when we need a leader. All the things that I just didn't see firsthand as a Heat fan. I saw other teams have that, but we didn't have that guy. And yes, Dallas has had the whole Dirk situation. They had a little bit of Nash in there, but they had the whole Dirk experience. And so they know what it is to have a baller, a Hall of Famer, and stuff like that. And they looked up and they got one right after Dirk. But I'm pretty sure for the younger people or just whoever who just watched it and know how hard it is to come across something like this, you don't want to see that walk out of their door, as you say, for pennies on a dollar. Because I don't care if you want to really put this on a scale of things. This was one of the most lopsided trades ever, and it doesn't make sense on a lot of levels. And so that's why Nico is the one that's falling on the sword on this. That's why he looks so crazy. And especially if you're a homer, you're not going to understand it. We're on the outside looking in going, this don't make sense. I can only imagine as a passionate fan, season ticket holder, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I couldn't go for that. So again, not justifying the threats, but hey, man, I'm not surprised. So yeah, man, watching Luka play for the Lakers, you can tell his basketball joy was spreading early. And yeah, man, it kind of neutralized the weird LeBron energy that goes on. LeBron was so busy trying to impress, still turning the ball over, but he was so busy trying to impress Luka. He's so busy trying not to be overshadowed by Luka. He's digging into himself and be balling. And so so who makes who better? Who's making who play better? And so I think Luka is already spreading the joy. LA already has a lighter feel to it. It doesn't feel so heavy anymore because of how he plays basketball. So yeah, I don't know, man. I would be 10 hot if I was
Yeah.
Dallas. That would have been heartbreaking last night.
Yeah. It really is terrible. I hope Laker. Well, from what I know, there is a large percentage of. There's a bit of a. From what I know, I'm not a Lakers fan and I don't live in LA, of course. But from what I have seen and read, there's a bit of a parallel between Lakers fans and Heat fans from the standpoint of Lakers fans who like LeBron versus Lakers fans who are more loyal to the organization and the team.
Correct.
In the same way that we are
Correct.
loyalists to the Miami Heat, but we had to deal with LeBron being on the team.
Correct.
So it's like there's people who like LeBron, therefore root for the Heat. And then there's people like us who root for the Heat and can give two shits about LeBron.
Agreed.
But he just so happened to be on the team. So by default, we are forced to root for him because he plays for our team.
Disgusting.
And there's some parallels there, right?
Yeah.
And you have a lot of Lakers fans who are Kobe loyalists,
Right.
and who love the Lakers and they love Kobe and they tolerate LeBron.
Correct.
Very much in the same way that we were Wade loyalists and Heat loyalists, and we tolerated LeBron.
Correct.
And then there are the people who show up and who like LeBron, and so now they're Heat fans because they like LeBron. And the same thing, people who show up and they like LeBron, so now they're Lakers fans because they like LeBron. The only reason why I bring that up is because for those Laker loyalists, I hope you guys are ready, because if you guys go on to success, Luka can average 40 and 10 a game. LeBron's still going to get all the credit. And so I just hope you're ready for that because it's going to happen. I don't care. Yes. Trust me. I am 100% convinced of this. I don't care how well Luka plays. LeBron will still get the credit because it will be seen as an enhancement of LeBron's legacy. So I just hope that a lot of you Laker loyalists who are happy because of the Luka deal are ready to get everything that comes along with that. Because all of the success for your team is going to be primarily attributed to LeBron, despite how well Luka plays. I'm telling you, I know this for a fact. And the last thing that I will say is just speaking on the whole economics aspect when it comes to fanaticism. Like I put myself in and I try to transport myself into the body of a person who's living good, right? And I say to myself, I ask myself the honest question: how fanatical would I be with my sports if I was living a good, charmed life where I didn't have to wake up and go to work every day? I didn't have to commute in traffic every day. I was eating good every day. I could indulge in expensive leisurely hobbies every day. You know, let's say I lived on the water somewhere and I can get on my boat and take my boat out, maybe go fishing a little bit, maybe invite some friends over. We get on my boat and have a day out on the ocean, living it up, having fun on the boat, eating good, living good, all of that kind of stuff. Maybe smoke a few cigars, you know, maybe have a little fun, go to the gym, play a couple games of basketball, and I'm making money. But while I'm doing all this, mind you, I'm still making money, right? The manner in which I make money does not stop. Like I have passive income that continues to matriculate, even if I'm living my charm life in a lamp of luxury. Would, if that was my reality, would I be as fanatical about my sports?
Probably not.
And my honest answer to that question is no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be. Like, you know, if I'm living like that and the Chiefs win the other day, I'm probably gonna be like, oh well, my life is good. I'll move on.
Exactly.
But I'm sitting here working class, slaving, grinding. I need my sports to give me some kind of a respite. So now the outcome of the Super Bowl is magnified for me. I need the Chiefs to lose this game. Just like I needed the Patriots to lose in 07.
Oh my God.
Like if I was living a charmed life, would I care as much about whether the Patriots lost or won that year? It would annoy. It would be annoying. Like
I probably still would need them to lose.
Yeah, like I would. Like for me, I'd still be annoyed. My rooting interest would still be for the Patriots to lose, but would it have been as agonizing had they won?
That's pretty tough, bro.
I feel that, but for me personally,
I know what you mean.
I wouldn't be as fanatical with it.
Well, I'll tell you, like instead of it being an 11 on a scale of 10 right now, it would have probably been like a 7. I still would have been pissed off, but not nearly as pissed off as I would have been.
No, if the Patriots would have won that year, I would have been fanatical in terms of how devastated I was.
100%.
You know, and like it felt like the fate of the universe was at stake this 2 days ago.
It did.
You know what I'm saying? Like it felt like you know what it felt? It felt like if the Chiefs had won on Sunday, it would have been like Thanos snapping his finger.
Yeah.
That's what it would have felt like.
Yeah.
And so the event, like the Eagles losing was the Avengers defeating Thanos. That's what it felt like.
I agree.
So like if I'm living more of a charmed life, am I as fanatical with that? Probably not. Probably not. So that's the whole thing when it comes to fanaticism in sports. It's really an observation in modern economics, in my opinion. Like people are out here scraping, and for most of us, sports is one of our only respites. And so when you take that away from people via a trade as ludicrous as this, I can understand how people can resort to issuing death threats. Even if it is absurd, I can get where they're coming from.
And that's what sports betting is going through the roof too, by the way. I think sports the massive spike in sports betting is also due to people struggling.
Yeah.
And it's the new lottery.
Yeah.
So people play that like this lottery now, and they roll in their dice and losing 128K.
Yep.
selling box because
Yep.
they got it.
Yep. Yep. I was just about to say, bro, you can point to the rise, like part of the reason for the rise in sex working is
Yeah,
economics.
yeah.
More and more of these people, these women are like, why am I doing this? Like, I will sacrifice my dignity and my self-respect and all of this other, and my body, my chastity. I'll let it all go because I need to be out here living abundantly. It's economics, man. You're either on the other side of that gap or you're not. And if you're not, it's an arms race to figure out how to do it. And so when you're not, you can be fanatical about anything. I've seen people be fanatical about all kinds of stuff. I'm not as much of a gamer anymore, but I'll still peruse like video game websites from time to time. You should see some of the comments that people leave in comment sections on articles discussing like video games. People go crazy.
They go
crazy. Yeah, they lose their minds. That's not that's a relatively new thing to me. People are fanatical about the stuff that they're fanatical about because of their individual circumstance, which in my opinion, it's been completely exacerbated by these economic times. People are losing it.
I agree. So hey, good luck, Mavericks fans. We'll see what happens with y'all season, but y'all future. When Luka wins MVPs in the future and he does all this other stuff, hey man, you know what I'm saying? Try your best not to kick yourself. There's plenty of like websites out there now or apps where you can talk to somebody. I'm telling you, bro, they're gonna be going through the rest of his career. Every accolade he gets, everything he wins, they're gonna feel like they got cheated. And I'm not gonna say that they didn't, because this trade here to me stinks. Something's wrong with this trade. Yeah. And so for them to feel bad about it or upset about it or just this weird feeling, they're gonna feel it his entire career, which sucks for them. Yeah, if Luka left on his own merit, that's one thing, but the way this went down was kind of weird, man.
Yeah.
So sending my energy out to Mavs fans. Never thought I'd say that, but this is bogus. I don't wish this on anybody.
It is. It's horse shit. It is.
It
is, man. That's funny, bro. BetterHelp going increase.
Oh, yeah, BetterHelp.
BetterHelp gonna get that stock. That stock price gonna go up on BetterHelp.
This episode was sponsored by BetterHelp. So yeah, get some BetterHelp, man.
Hey, yeah, for real, BetterHelp. If you want to post some ads on our videos,
Hell no.
Hey, shouts out to Mavericks fans, man. We with you, man.
Yeah. Oh, except the Knicks. If this happened to the Knicks, kiss my ass.
Or the Celtics, yeah.
Or the Celtics. I don't give a damn. So I take that back. Everybody except those two teams. I would have felt sorry for y'all. So my bad.